Hola.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon all.
Hola.
Sorry, good afternoon.
Hola.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning or good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
So sorry for the delay, but we were in another call. So just wait a few minutes that everybody can connect, then we can start. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Just give us another minute. I see that some people still missing. On Guala side, are everybody connected? I mean, Germany. I see Hildegard. Yes. UK, Katrina. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina's here, I think.
Yes, I was on mute. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Frank, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. From Olertola,
Yes.
Barcelona. Okay. Jerez.
Kenneth is not.
Okay.
Sorry?
Bien, Gonzalo, bien.
I see Gonzalo. Okay.
Sí.
All right. Mexico.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Carlos. Okay. So we are still waiting some people from Deloitte side because they are still in the other call, but just give me a second that if they are not connecting in a minute, we can start. Okay. They are coming. Hi, Maria Lucia.
Hi.
Okay, so while our colleagues are joining, just let me tell you which is the objective of this call. So today we are going into the detail of the scheduling process. So we last week we got into the make-to-order production model. So basically, we just saw what does it mean to plan the production in terms of long-term planning and medium-long-term planning. Today, we are going to focus on the very short-term planning, so the production scheduling. And after that, we will go into the detail of the make-to-stock production planning logics. So we will get back to what we collected last week from you about how you perform make-to-stock for your as an alternative production planning logic. And we will see which are the different ways that we can implement in order to, let's say, supply this make-to-stock strategy with SAP Forena. So I see that my colleagues are connected now. So hi, Dario.
Yes, hello.
Are you here? Okay, great. So we can start. Giancarlo, can you please go to the next slide? Okay, so prior to get to the flow chart that we saw last week, I would like to spend a few words on this high-level target model. So as we anticipated, what is the applicative landscape foreseen by Guala Stock Management is an architecture that foresee the use of two different systems. So SAP S/4HANA as the main ERP for the planning part, so for production planning. But then this ERP system will be integrated with an external system, a third-party tool, which is called Sedapta platform, and this will be our production scheduling tool for the future. So today we are going to talk about the production scheduling from a process perspective, but also we have here Pierluigi Carrera and Elena Falsini that are from the Sedapta teams and from the Sedapta team, and they will implement this tool. So for any technical questions that you may have on this system behavior, they can answer you. So just to get to the flow chart in the next slide. Okay. What we discussed last week is the planning, the production planning. And before starting to talk about the scheduling process, maybe let's try to briefly sum up what we said and what we saw last week, and then we get into the short term. If you cannot hear me well, please tell me so that I can switch also the incoming video. I just turn off my camera because I know that I'm in bad connection. By now you can hear me well?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. So what we discussed last week is production planning. So we are just here discussing a full make-to-order model that starts with sales order and is carried out by the production planner to organize the production department so that all the products are manufacturing within the delivery date that are required by the customer. So when we talk about planning, we are just referring now to the medium long-term plan starting from the sales order creation, while what we saw in the long term, we said is just an opportunity for you to organize your production, to organize your supply strategy for long-term materials. So the support that will brought by SAP S/4HANA for the long-term planning is a tool that is dedicated for performing simulation based on certain inputs such as sales budget and sales forecast. But when we talk about make-to-order planning, as I said, we are in the second horizon, the medium-long term. Here we are in the very operational part, so starting from the sales order creation. And the objective is to keep, let's say, the production stable and linear by avoiding sudden peaks or troughs. And so how to do that? Through the use of the MRP functionality that will be provided by SAP S/4HANA that will create these planned orders with a certain date and a certain quantity. And then SAP S/4HANA will help your planning department to perform a capacity analysis, an infinite capacity analysis, and there will be a specific tool that will help you to highlight over and under loads on your work center, in your work machine, so that you can adjust the planned orders along the defined horizon of time. So you can update the planned order quantity, the planned order date, and after that you firm these planned orders. So you fix date and quantity of these planned orders in the time horizon. So once the planned order are firmed, once the MRP run, it will not affect this planned order anymore. So it means that if you have to update the date and quantity, you can do it, but just manually. The MRP will not touch this planned order anymore. And very, very close to the production, So at least a few weeks prior to the starting date of the production, you decide to convert this planned order to production orders. This activity is very important because the conversion from the planned order or the firm planned order to a real production order is the enabler to the scheduling process. So it's an activity performed by INSAP in order to convert this objective into the system object that will be scheduled in SEDAPTA. So this is very in short what we saw last week. All the business requirements that we gathered during the last call are summarized in a recap that you may find on Confluence platform. So shortly you receive all the instruction, I guess, in order to get access to this platform. And there is a dedicated folder that is called Planning and Scheduling Production, so that you can check everything that we gathered and we collected together, and that will become a part of the future one company model. So we are not going to see again the requirements that we collected last week today, but please, we kindly ask you to review all the requirements in that summary, so that if there are something that we didn't get properly, we can fix it and we can rediscuss in all the meetings that we have together during this month. So now we are basically at the very short term. So we converted the planned and the firmed orders to production order, and the next activity prior to start the production is the production scheduling. So scheduling is different from planning activity because, as you see here from the flowchart, it starts from the plans that is generated by planning. And through this, you organize the production department in a more detailed manner. So it's typically a finite capacity scheduling that takes into account all the data related to production order cycle, materials that have to be ordered within the procurement lead time. And the objective is, of course, to achieve line saturation and also resolve any capacity issue of the production line, whether they are machineries, material, person availability. You have basically to optimize your work sequence on individual machine or on work center in order to avoid bottlenecks and also, let's say, increase your efficiency level in production. So this is why we are talking about a different time horizon, because this very detailed scheduling exercise is only possible very close to the production date, when you actually know let's say, the status of your production plan, the real status of your production constraints. In order to support this process, the tool that has been selected is SEDAPTA. SEDAPTA is an advanced planning and scheduling system, so it's a third-party system that will be integrated with SAP S/4HANA. So it's a very powerful tool that actually, for the first, let's say, transition period after the SAP S/4HANA go live, the Gualas top management decided to choose a simpler solution of this SEDAPTA tool. So in other words, what is coming with the go live of SAP S/4HANA is not a tool which is SEDAPTA with exploitation of all the functionality that SEDAPTA can provide, but is a basic solution, a SEDAPTA with basic functionality that helps you to schedule the production in the short period of time, but is not going to take into account some information such as material availability or bill of material. And this means that what you are going to perform on this Sedapta tool is not actually a very finite capacity exercise, but is more, let's say, graphical table support that helps you to schedule all the different production orders generated in the production plan by the MRP in a logical sequence based on optimization rules that you managed in order to have the in order to have the most, let's say, optimal sequence in the production line. So once you receive all the production orders from SAP S4, there is a graphical table on which you can look at all your production center or your line, and thanks to drag and drop functionality, you can move all the production order for finished product and semi-finished product in the defined time horizon. And you can schedule and reschedule the sequence based on your production constraint. The difference for this first transition, the thing to bear in mind for this first transition period is that there are no automatic sequencing logics that will be implemented in Sedapta, but this automatic sequencing logic will be implemented in a while. So there will be a second phase of evolution of this system where you can leverage on more advanced functionality so that the activity that will be performed in this tool will be automatized and less manual as possible. The choice is just the fact that we all know that you are implementing a new system, a new ERP system, and this causes a great impact on people. So this is let's say, a big change for the organization. So in order not to have much pressure on Guala's employees, the top management decided to implement Sedapta in order to, at first, with go live with SAP S4HANA, but in a simpler way, in order to allow you to familiarize with the tool, but not to stress you too much with a lot of functionality to learn and to use, because some of you maybe doesn't use a scheduler or don't use an advanced planning and scheduling system, and so basically this is the reason. So shortly, and then I will let you intervene and ask any question you want. What you are doing in Sedapta is just to create the production order scheduling. So you assign the best sequence based on your actual constraints manually. You can drag and drop this production order, so you will act on the finished product production order as well as on the semi-finished production order. You can review the production scheduling plan, so move forward and backwards in the time horizon your production orders, and then you have to release the production scheduling. Once the production scheduling is released, this information will be transmitted to SAP S4HANA, and from here the action is to release these scheduled production orders to the shop floor, so that it is possible to print the work list and all the material picking list and start the production. So this is actually the the flow chart, and this is the production scheduling process. I spent a lot of words, so maybe I was not clear. So please, if you have doubts or you need clarification, we are here to answer to your questions and to your doubts.
Yeah, I just have one question. How short is short term? How far out does the short term look? Is it 1 week, 2 days, 2 weeks?
Yeah. Okay, so short term, so scheduling process, as we said, is typically a short-term activities. This is from the best practice. So typically you look forward for, let's say, a few weeks. So the horizon is typically weekly. So it can be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but typically we are in the range of 1-2 weeks, at least for the experience that I had in other companies. And what you do is daily to look at your week in a weekly horizon, and daily you can schedule the production order by hour or by shift, so that you can create your optimal sequence in a day or for the following days, 1, 2, 3 days. And this is a daily activity. So you are very, very close to the starting of your production date, and this is a daily activity that looks few weeks.
Thank you. Just again, just as you say there, so you can make it very flexible. So if you're planning for 5 machines, let's say, you could have a different set of rules for each machine depending on how much labor you've got, for example.
How much?
Yeah, I'm just saying as an example, let's say you have a production planner and they have 5 machines that they're planning for, but maybe they have varying labor, different capacities and whatever, but you can make the Sedapta work, or it's flexible so that it adapts to the constraints that you have, for example, with labor, if I've understood you correctly.
Not automatically, in the sense that you have to adapt your schedule for each production phase manually, because at first, for the first transition period of time, we are not going to implement automatic logic that allows Sedapta to suggest you the optimal sequence on all your machine. But you have to keep into account all your production constraint, extra system, and based on that, you manually schedule your production order. Of course, the production order that you receive on Sedapta have a cycle assigned, production cycle assigned, so they have a production machinery that is associated to that production order. And then, I don't know if your question is also if you can perform a change on that production order and assign a different work center or a different machinery on Sedapta. Is also this one your question?
Yes, I'm thinking also if you have a mold and that mold can fit into 2 or 3 different machines, and maybe machine one breaks down, it's easy enough, it's simple, I think, from what you're saying. You would have to manually reschedule that, for example, to put the mold into machine 2. What I'm meaning is that it's flexible. You can, the user will be able to change the parameters of the short-term plan, is that right, based on the machine?
Pierluigi, I don't know if we are already at this point of definition, right?
It's possible to configure the system to allow the move on another work center, another equipment, or not. We have to define define it. It's possible for the system to move from one work center to the other. And when you make the move, the system use the working time of the work center that from which you start.
So just
But you have to do it manually. The system doesn't move from the machine that you have defined on the routing in SAP, and manually you can move from one work center to the other.
So just to give you an overview or the decision, the progressive decision taken by Guala Group. So up to now, there are some production unit that have that use the, let's say, the SAP scheduler tools, or in Spain and one company in Italy there is a specific scheduler which is Polyfemo. And then I don't know, there may be other specific tools that you have in your each of one of you in your country, or maybe you schedule by other tools like Excel or Raster's tool and so on. So the really first step is to have a unique IT landscape. So the starting point is to have a common tool for managing the scheduling part. And this tool is Sedapta. So this is the step 0. No? So to uniform the system that you are using all around all the countries, okay, to manage the scheduling part. So this is, let's say, step 1. And not to start in a too complex way at the beginning, correct me, Pierluigi, Guala asks for a really basic implementation. So we have a common tool and a common way of working. Then additional functionality, which of course are completely supported by the tool, because okay, Pierluigi then is a representative of Sedapta tool and is working in this area for years. He can assure you that there is a really powerful tool that can manage all the scheduling complexity that you might have. Okay, but at the beginning, from a project perspective, we have to start easily with a standard and simple functionality, and then during the evolution of the landscape and the implementation, I think Guala will take care of the occasion to adapt and add the new functionality to have a more structured and fully support system. I don't know, Pierluigi, if you agree with this view.
Yes, in the first step was decided that we don't have to manage bill of material and stock, and we don't have to manage rules for sequencing, rules about format, dimension, color, and shape, and other characteristics that are on the single SKU. The scheduler works in a very simple way. He receives from SAP production orders and put on the Gantt one after the other, using due date is the only thing that he can do, and show you the result of this scheduling, and you can make a move on the Gantt. The move that you can do is to change sequence, and the other move that you can do is if we allow you to do this kind of modification, is to move from one equipment work center to another one. This is the first step of scheduling. But the second step is to send to the system two kinds of information: bill of material for each work order, and also stocks. And in this case, the system can show you the packing, the link between the work order of finished product to the semi-finished, and also up to material. In this case, the system can show you when you are looking the production Gantt, when you select a work order on finished product, show you where is the semi-finished product that you need to make the production. Also, this thing you can do in the other way, starting from semi-finished product and looking the finished product that is connected to this production. The second thing that is different is that we can associate to the single SKU rules about characteristics on shape, dimension, format, and other characteristics that you use when you make optimization on the machine, on the equipment, and the system when make scheduling and comes from SAP several new work order, doesn't put one after the other using due date, but using the rules that that we have put in the system, and to try to minimize the work of the people that have to make a scheduling. These are the two moments of scheduling. The first, in which the company decide that we have to start. We don't have material and stock, and also we don't have rules of sequencing. In the second step, we can have this kind of suggestion from the system. The system show you this kind of information. For the people who use now planning table of SAP, I see that for Italy is very hard work if we need to create a space for a work order that there is in an equipment that haven't no space in the Gantt. And I see that they have to do a very strong work also. When you try to put a work order and there is no space, this SAP show this work order in the first positioning can put the work order. In this case, the new system that you will use is more simple. You don't have to move all the work order from here to 2 weeks to make all or to create a position in which you can put a work order. You can move only one work order and the system follow your choice. In this case, it's more simple to use.
Grazie tanto.
Prego.
Olerdola? I see a Nan's raised up.
Chiara?
Yeah?
Yes. We have a lot of questions because here in Olerdola we use Polyfemo.
Mm-hmm.
And from this presentation, I understand that it's almost the same, more or less. So I don't know if anyone can answer this question. Maybe Attilio, that is here.
Sorry, the question is why do we exchange Polyfemo with other things?
No, the question is, if this setup a scheduler or sequencer or whatever is almost the same as Polyfemo, I mean with the interface with SAP, because right now with SAP all the calendars, all the machines capacity and everything is inside the SAP. So every time you must change it, you must ask for this because Polyfemo is not able to have this information. It doesn't work like this. I don't know if it's the same in Sedapta. This is my first question. And then I imagine that the Gantt that is shown in Sedapta at this level that you say, the first level, doesn't show us the real image of the shop floor. Let's say I check the Sedapta in any case and I can see what is happening in the plant.
I start to respond to you from the second questions. We decide with the Goala that the scheduler knows the same kind of data that knows SAP. If we want that the scheduler knows a real-time situation, we need to update SAP in a real-time way. Because if in a scheduling system you see a different situation that is in SAP, you can is very dangerous, and you can understand the kind of data that have the system. You have to know that you are a lot of country, and someone have a iris that is working, someone have no system of data collection, and we want that the scheduler works in one way. Scheduler have the same data that have SAP. And in this situation, there is no doubt about stock, about status of data collection of the single work order. This is the second question. The first question was that we can receive from SAP the calendar, but always when we make scheduling, we need to make simulation. We have to make simulation which we want to make a different calendar, that you want to create a break on a machine, you want to create a situation in which you ask a Saturday on Sunday in which you want to work. And in this case, you have to do this in the system that you use to schedule, that is that you can use as a simulation tools in which you can try to have different situation and to have the model that we need. The scheduler that for all the scheduler that was chosen from your company is the scheduler that born in more than 30 years ago. And we have seen a lot of company, and is a result of a lot of years of work, and we don't make any work than this. And I hope that is different from the software that you are using now, but I hope that you have the functionality similar or better that the tools Polyfemo that you are using now. I don't know Polyfemo, I have never seen the graphics and the tools, but I think that may be similar in using.
So Sedapta is able to do different scenarios for scheduling. Let's say Sedapta is a scheduler, but we are not buying the scheduler itself. In the first step, it's just a sequence program, let's say.
Yes, but we can we can start using just a little functionality of a scheduler. For me, if I have a user, I don't want, if I have 10 work orders full today, that the system ask me to move one after the other this work order and show this work order on the same date that is today. I prefer that the system move one after the other using the due date, and then I can move, change the sequence if I want in a very simple way. Every day when I start to work, I have the scheduling that I have yesterday update with all the quantity of the work order that was finished, or new work order was inserted in our plan that is update to the new situation. If there is no problem today, I see exactly what I have yesterday. If the production doesn't go as I expected, I don't have to move one work order after the other to realign the production plan, but the system do it out in automatic way, togliere. And
Take out.
Take out a lot of work. So sorry for my Italian, my English is not very very good. I hope that you can understand me and say, Piero, I haven't understand when I am not clear for you.
Okay, I understand that the system allows you to have a real image of the
Yes.
production in any case. Okay, for me it's important this because Polyfemo is not this way. So it would be a nice step forward.
For this reason, I see before that we have defined one way in which the system will work. I take all the data from SAP, and if data collection on SAP start from Iris, okay, but if doesn't start from Iris, but you do it manually directly on SAP, you can have that the system works in a good way. If you want to schedule one times every sheet, you need that on SAP you have a consumption at the end of every sheet. If you want to work with the production that is the production that you have done yesterday, you have to make the consumption on SAP one times a day. If you have in SAP consumption in real time, because Iris is connected in real time, you can have scheduling in real time. In this case, the scheduling system is a slave of SAP, and it show you the status of a work order that we have on SAP.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Just to add a little point for the reason of substituting Polyfemo. Polyfemo is a scheduling tool or I'd say the sequencing tool. In any case, as long as Guala is embracing a complex transformation journey among different countries, okay, they also need to have a system and a system provider which is able to follow all this implementation. I guess, or from what I did know, Polyfemo is a little IT company, so will not be able to manage all the implementation around the roadmap which Guala is thinking of. So they also need to rely on a more structured player such as Sedapta was selected.
In my company, I was chosen to support you, not because my English is good. My English is awful, but because in my life I doesn't do another work of scheduling. I was born in scheduling, and it's 30 years that I make scheduling, and for the reason I was chosen to support you in this transition.
Your Italian is much better. Sorry, your English is much better than my Italian. There you go.
You are not, come si dice messo bene? Okay.
You think you're not so good in Italy then? In Italian then?
No, very bad.
Non metto bene.
Okay. Chiara, I don't know if you want to take back the lead.
Yes, I would like just to ask you if you have other questions about this process or if it's clear.
So here's Hildegard. I didn't say anything till now. It's more or less from the logic identical what we have at the moment, and we do not use all the automatic calculations or simulations from the system. Finally, we kept it simple. So I assume it's more or less what you mean with the base of Sedapta. But we need to see it. When you see it, you have another impression about it.
Yes, it's true. So now it's difficult to imagine because, of course, it's a new tool. So you will have many other questions, I guess, further on. Well, you will have the chance to look at the tool deeply. And so you can now, and you will also have the chance to see how to use the tool. So how to move and how to take advantage of all these basic functionalities that will be provided at first. Okay. So considering that and considering there are no other comments, I will move to the second part of this meeting. So we are now talking about make to stock. Okay. So what we differentiated in these meetings is the strategy that all the group adopt, which is make to order. And when we talk about make to order, we refer to pure make to order. So starting from the actual sales order of the client. Okay. When we talk about make to stock instead, we typically refer to a strategy that allows you to produce in advance prior of receiving the actual sales order of the customer. So if we are in this, let's say, definition, so if we leverage on this definition, so basically make to stock means produced for the stock. So prior of receiving the actual sales order from the client, based also on what we collected from you from the last week, we can differentiate between three different alternatives that are three different logics to make a production order on stock for finished products. So the first one that we also discussed last week is disprove the MRP functionality of SAP S/4HANA starting from the client forecast. So in this case, we will have client forecast as input to SAP S/4HANA. The SAP S/4HANA will generate the independent requirement, and based on that, the material requirement planning, so the MRP, will generate a planned production order. And the process is pretty much very similar to the one that we saw in the make-to-order scenario starting from the sales order creation. The difference is that the input is a client forecast. And when the actual sales order will arrive, so will be created in SAP S/4HANA, it will consume the independent requirement that have been generated prior by the customer forecast. So I have a specific forecast for 1 million pieces. I receive a sales forecast of, I receive a client order for 1 million pieces. So let's say the best and simpler scenario. Then this sales forecast of 1 million, this sales order, of 1 million pieces will consume the previous sales forecast of 1 million pieces. Or if I have a forecast, a client forecast of 1 million pieces, and after that, that I started the production and put in stock 1 million pieces, I received the actual order of 80 or 800,000 of pieces, these 800,000 of pieces will consume the part of this 1 million sales forecast that I had uploaded into SAP S/4HANA, so that the difference left is 200,000 pieces that are still in the stock and that will be consumed by another sales order that will come later on by the same client. Then it will be much easier to understand when we will see the flow chart, but this is something that we will see on Thursday. So now we just want you to see these three alternatives. The second option...
Chiara, sorry, just for general confirmation, yes or no. On this, I believe we will have a yes. So, do anybody from at least one country confirm that you receive a customer forecast? I remember in one case, some big client that were sending 3 months in advance the forecast, and you can start producing those quantity because the client is committed to the quantity. And only after, maybe 1 or 2 weeks before the shipping, you will also receive the official or the final purchase order, which for you is a sales order that you use to ship and invoice the customer. Do we get a yes on this?
Yes, from Guala UCP. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is right for UK UCP and Mexico. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And the idea here is that when you receive the sales order, let's say some days before the requested shipping, the best scenario, the happy flow, the happy scenario is that you don't have to manually exchange the sales order with the forecast, but you have an auto consumption logics. Okay, that would be the best scenario.
Yeah, can I have one quick question? If we have a forecast from the customer and we make against the forecast, but the sales order from the customer does not come, does that then continue to show, or where would we see that? So that, for example, we could go back to the customer to say, we have produced these goods in good faith against your forecast, but you haven't consumed them. Where would we see that?
I don't know if we want to answer now with the sub-team, or we could just take the point, Katrina, and then give you answer on the next meeting. So okay. The answer is really clear. So where do I see where I didn't add? Yeah, the question. Sorry. Same school of Pierluigi. Okay, we take the point, Katrina.
Yes, Katrina. So the question is very clear. So we took the point. On Thursday, we will get into the detail of the flowchart so we can answer to all your precise questions. And we collect the business requirements for these 3 different models. So sorry for that.
No, it's okay. It's purely because sometimes to help us with costs, if we have to charge customers for materials, for example, or for goods which they haven't taken, it will give us a good record in which to challenge the customers and to charge them, to invoice them accordingly.
All right.
Sorry, just a quick question. I don't know if we took this point, Chiara. This, in case of UK or Mexico, UCP, this forecast that the client provides you, does it have a specific date or a week or a month?
Yeah, it usually would have a week. Sorry, it can have a day. It can have a day. It depends how far in advance. Andy, if I'm getting this wrong, please correct me.
In Guala UCP, it's a specific date.
A calendar date. Okay.
Yes, a calendar date. Yes.
It depends how far out it goes, Andy, though, is it not? Because if it's further out, if it's after a month, does it not just go in the week rather than the date?
It'll always give a date on our
it's a specific date
system when the forecast comes through, yes.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Mexico was adding.
Mexico is by month. We have a 6-month view to the customer, and that's what we agree on. But it's by month.
Okay. And then you're receiving the sales order, how much in advance?
Probably a week. Just
Okay.
a week. For example, a week during the month, we receive, for example, Bacardi, we receive 6 to 8 purchase order during the month, but with a week in advance. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 purchase orders in a week in advance.
Okay.
Is the same for UK and UCP?
But for the timing of the order from the customer,
Yeah, yeah.
it can be the next day. It can be really quick, and sometimes it can be longer. It depends where the customer is. Some customers are export customers, and you can have several weeks, but most of the ones for the UK are very quick. Probably at most, I would say, on average, maybe 4 days, 5 days. It can be very quick.
You mean 4 or 5 days then after you receiving the forecast, or?
No, the order. No, the order, because we'll have produced the forecast. Remember that most of what we get for the UK is, we've already produced. So really the sales order from the customer is more like an instruction to ship. It's not an instruction to make.
But how many days prior of shipping you receive the sales order?
That's what I mean. So on average, maybe about 4 days. Sometimes it's less than that. It can be 2 days. It can even be 1 day. It can even be the same day. Sorry.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarification, Katrina. And UCP?
It's similar. It depends which customers, again. Sometimes forecasts can go overdue, and then you need to go back to the customer and ask when that forecast is going to be taken. So, but in general terms, I would say the majority of our forecast becomes sales orders around 7 days prior to shipping, on average. But as Katrina says, there are also times when the forecast is there and the customer will look to change that into a sales order that next day.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Andy. Okay, so...
sorry, Chiara. Katrina, only one question to understand better your point, about the forecast. So it's not clear if your needs is to have a chance to check in SAP when or not the forecast was consumed by a sales order, or your needs is to have the chance to ship your finished good without to have a sales order, but to have having only a forecast in SAP.
It's more the first point, Dario. It's really to make sure that we do not have any obsolete goods. So if we have produced something against a customer's forecast, but they haven't sent a sales order, or as we call it, a call off, then we want to make sure that we can flag this, we can show to the customer, we have these goods, when are you going to take these goods? And if they say, oh, well, we're not taking them, we can invoice them for the goods we've produced or the materials which we may have consumed, because sometimes we may not convert from a forecast into a finished product for various reasons. So if we have procured materials, we want to make sure that we don't lose any cost, that we can charge this back if the customer, as I say, does not send a sales order through.
Okay, thank you. It's clear.
Okay. I will go forward to the option B. So, okay, so we saw MRP based on client forecast. The second way is to have a reorder point. So when we talk about reorder point, we refer to automatic replenishment logics in the system. So it means that you set up, let's say, some reorder. Sorry, you set up a reorder point into SAP S/4HANA, And once you get to this reorder point or below to this reorder point, you basically create in automatic way a production order that will replenish your stock. So this is a production order automatic generation based on minimum stock level set up in the system. And the third option, I will go faster, is manual. So basically option C refers to the possibility of creating a manual production order in the system for a specific quantity and then plan it accordingly. Or as some of you do, for example, UCP, if I remember well, you may have, let's say, a production order which is planned by the MRP, and you decide to increase the quantity of this planned production order to take the difference with respect to the independent requirements in stock. So this is another activity that goes under the manual scenario, because of course we are manually changing the quantity and increasing it in order to take some of this quantity for the stock. And of course, here there is no, let's say, logic set up in the system, but all the consideration that you may have, that you may, let's say, elaborate in order to create this manual production order are based on extra system consideration. So as you mentioned last week, for example, you take into account historical data, or maybe you may agree with your customer during the day to increase the quantity of the sales order that you already received, and so on and so on. So these basically are the three different options. This applies to different products, and of course they can coexist within your company. So for some clients and products, you may decide to apply option A. For some other finished products, you may decide to apply option B, while for some other, for example, you prefer to apply option C. So this is up to you. Now we just,
Yeah, a little question. Of course, the forecasts coming from the customer recorder point is clear. This is something which is fixed after a discussion with customer. And option C, you are saying a manual production order. Is this something which is done by the CSR, or is it by the planner?
By the planner.
Okay.
I mean, how does it work today in your company?
CSR.
CSR?
Because we confirm customer service.
Customer service. Yeah.
We confirm those orders as well to customers.
So
with a regular order confirmation saying that it is on stock, that we have something in hands in case there are changes or something. Because this is kind of agreement, the order confirmation in this case.
Okay. So let me say that from a process perspective and organizational perspective, so let's say that from best practice, typically the production order is an object that is managed by production or by planning. So this is why when we are saying, okay, who creates the production order, we typically refer to the planning department and not to the customer service. So typically customer service or sales department creates the sales order, and then it goes to the production department that creates the production order or modify the production order, which is automatically created by the MRP. So this is a matter of roles and responsibilities. We as Deloitte, we are not here to, let's say, reorganize roles and responsibilities. So let's take the point, but I mean...
It's not an issue that planners enter the agreement, but we need a document to confirm to the customers.
Sorry, can you repeat, please? I got distracted from
It's not an issue if planning or customer service is doing it. We work anyway close together, but we need a document for that.
You need a document for your customer.
An order confirmation. A
Okay.
kind of confirmation.
Yeah, as the other company do, is that the customer service create the sales order. Then the planning department creates or modify and confirm the production order date. And then this date is communicated to the customer orders, to the customer service, so that the customer service can provide confirmation to the client.
Yeah, confirmation can be done formal or by email, and we are used to have the real order confirmation document with all the information you normally have on fixed order confirmation.
Okay. Sorry, Hildegard, I don't know if there is a point that you want to clarify on D2B, or is just telling us how is working your company?
It's how we work in our company. So we
Okay.
put in orders, like fixed orders, and we have a field where we can define if it's on stock or give it empty if it's shipped. And from this sales order, when planning, everything is finished, we do an order confirmation. I think that other plants do this as well. And this is an official document with the header of the company, with the customer, with the Incoterms and everything like this. And we can do it for the fixed orders, and we can do it for the orders on stock.
Okay.
In agreement with the customer.
Okay. Do you want to know if this behavior will be also in the future model?
If this is possible in the future model. Yeah, this is my question.
Yeah, I think so. Dario?
Chiara, can you repeat the question?
Otherwise, we can take the point and discuss in another day. But
Take the point and
yeah. Okay. So Dario, we can discuss it later.
Okay.
But okay, it's clear. So you want to know if we have this order confirmation once if it is possible to have the order confirmation as officially documented as you have today, and also other company have, both for fixed order in the make to order model and the make to stock orders.
Yeah.
In that order confirmation is right, not a production order confirmation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I see that someone left the meeting. Katrina and Andy. Okay. All right. So the two things that we would like to clarify before leave this meeting are, first of all, just to confirm that there are or not cases of what we call pure make to stock. So basically, every time we discuss with you about a make to stock strategy, we always talk about an input from the client, that is a client forecast or that is a strong commitment based on a signed contract with the client. So we would like just to know, do you have cases where you as a single company take the risk to anticipate finished product production and take the risk that the client will not buy that products that you put in stock? Or do you always have a strong input, a strong commitment from the client, and so in any case that finished product stock will be bought by the customer? For example, I'm talking to Mexico. Carlos?
Yes, that's correct. But I have a question, Chiara. For example, if I understood correctly, for example, we will receive the forecast from the customer. Then we put a production order. Customer service put a production order to planning department. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got a number, right? Let's say number 1. Okay? 001. We put a number. And then when the customer sends the other forecast next month, and I see that I have inventory, does it link with that number 001 that inventory is produced by that production number? That stock that I have in the inventory will link it with the number or not?
Okay. So your question is, your client sends you a client forecast with a specific number for a specific month. You started the production and you put some of this production in stock.
Yes.
The next month, the same client sends you another sales forecast with a different number. You would like to know if SAP S/4HANA will keep the link between the new sales forecast and the previous sales forecast to perform the netting in the inventory.
Yes.
Okay.
On the same product or item, I guess.
Yes, on the same item. Yes.
But what will be your expected functional behavior of the system? Does it have to add or net?
No, I think it's a little bit linked to the question that Katrina had, because when you're producing based on a forecast, obviously we already received the purchase order, right? But sometimes it doesn't match the quantity that you are producing versus what the customer is being sent a purchase order. This happens in Mexico, but it's not such a problem because, and every time we do a monthly review on the forecast, we put all our inventory. But sometimes the customers lower, the forecast on the next month. And then when they lower the forecast, we said, well, we did this production based on the forecast that you sent last month,
If you already produced it. Otherwise, you can update.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, so I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, Carlos, it's a matter of how the system represents you the data, what do you see, and how can you represent the data? Do I see the previous forecast on the same month? Do I see that I've already produced it or not? Can I change it, or do I have to go back to my client because I've already produced those quantities? I think it's more related to the look and feel of the solution. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Okay. So to understand the visibility of the relation between the objects, previous forecast, next forecast on the same item, maybe the same period, current stock, already produced or ongoing production. Okay.
Yes, that could be. I don't know if it's possible. It will help a lot because when you as a customer service, you receive another forecast and you say, well, let's see. Oh, I have 1 million of this SKU. Okay, but the customer needs another. I have to take out all what I've shipped already. What I shipped already on that month to take it out. And see the other forecast. So it will help a lot to see if it's possible. I don't know, just, maybe a gift from Santa Claus, right? And it says, well, if it's possible that I see that it's linked by that month or that forecast for the customer will be great. Thank you.
Yeah, and that is more or less the reason that we do not work with the forecast.
Okay, indeed, Hildegard, thank you, Carlos. We took the point, of course, and then we will get back to you. While Hildegard, but also Lerdola and Herez, I have another question for you, because you said you are working on a minimum reorder point. So in case of Germany, there is also the automatic logic in the system that allows to create automatically the production order, while it's not the same for Spain, where you just check the minimum stock level in the system, but then the production order is manually generated. But however, my question is, the quantity that you set up in the system as a reorder point, is this something that comes from the client? So is an input from the client that tells you how much pieces of a certain type of item they want in stock? Or
it's
do
an
you
agreement.
calculate it? Mhm.
We calculate it. It's an agreement because we have customers who change their filling plans very often, and we of course need to have stock. And of course, we do not want to reproduce 2 pallets. We have lot sizes we want to bring into production. We know the history, and based on the lead time and based on all this information, we fix minimum stock and lot size for reproduction in agreement also with the customer. So we only do it for items when we are really sure, when we have a fixed agreement that these items will be ongoing exactly as defined.
Okay, so I got that you, in the end, you agreed this quantity with the client, but are you calculating the quantity, right?
Yes, because we know the lead time and we know the lot size for production.
So
Because we do not want to replace each pallet.
And how do you calculate it?
Based on history, more or less.
So
Per month.
but you look at the historical consumption.
Yeah.
Okay, for how long? 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year rolling?
1 month around. But when we fix it, we look at the consumption over months, of course. So in agreement with the customer, and if there are changes, or so of course this really works only with items where you are sure that they are ongoing in the bottling plant. And we talk about their forecast, of course. So we talk also about forecasts with the customers, and the forecast from them can be also the base to enter a manual production order. Yeah, so we also talk about a forecast, but I do not want to maintain it in the system because our items are the bombs include also the packaging and all. So if something 1 point changes, we have a problem, and we do not want to mix too much in the process. Of course, we work with the forecast, but we build it up in the system by a manual sales order or by the recorder point based on the history data from the customer and in agreement with the customer.
Sorry, Hildegard, if for any reasons there is some stock left from of this finished product that the customer doesn't want to buy, what does it happen?
Then he has to pay for it and he has to take it because it's an agreement, one fixed agreement. And we do not have too many, it's not too many items. It's around 3 or 4 items for one of our very, very flexible customers changing its mind every day.
Okay.
It's like Katrina is saying, sometimes we have to be very flexible, and that is also the reason that we need to run the MRP very often. Sometimes, not always, but it may happen.
Okay. While Olerdola and Herez, do you have the same logics? So do you calculate it and then based on consumption, then you agreed it with the client?
Yes, more or less the same.
Okay.
Igual.
Igual?
Igual.
The same.
Ok, sì, sì, sì.
È lo normale in pianificazione.
Okay. Okay. So can we say, okay. So can we say that basically everything that is put in stock in the end is agreed with the customer, and in the end the customer is obliged by contract to buy that products? Is the summary correct?
Yes, but to show the customer that we are right, we need that confirmation.
Yeah, of
This
course.
is the proof. This is more or less the proof to document it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, it's just to understand if there are any logics by which you decide to put in stock some items, and then, well, for example, for those generic items that you produce which are not specific by client, in this case, how do you create stock if you have stock for these items? Those one
is manually. So it's
okay. Okay.
So you must have both options. One comes from the customer, and one comes from the knowledge of the planner or the team, let's say, because as Hildegard is saying, it depends on the history, it depends on the situation of the machines, it depends on your lead times in the season. There are a lot of inputs that you have that is not inside SAP.
Yes.
Okay? So it's necessary to have both options.
Good. Yeah, of course. Thanks for this clarification. And of course, I want to highlight the fact that, as we also said before, you can have the three options at the same time applied to different products. So, of course, this will be maintained in the future, and this will be for sure one of the key points in this model. All right. So. Thank you very much. I don't have any other points. On Thursday, we will go into the detail of option A of this option. So we will see the flow chart, and we will get back to your points that you highlighted today. If you have any other questions concerning these three models, Thursday meeting will be the right session to discuss them. So, well, if there are no other comments, thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Ciao.